Hello and welcome to another edition of Comics and Pop. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Rosen, along with Troy Cannon and Carlos Idarraga. And today we are going to be talking all about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We all finally got to see it. I'll just, little spoiler alert, like all those thousands of rumors about cameos, they didn't happen. But we'll talk.
Well, not all of them, at least.
We have lots to say about it. We've been messaging each other back and forth for the past few days about this movie. But let's start it off. I think we started Troy last week. So Carlos, take it away. Give me your thoughts, initial thoughts.
So Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness by Carlos Idarraga. Wow. You know what? I like the movie. I enjoyed the movie. There was obviously, I will break it down a little more as we talk about it. There's a couple of things that I thought were that I didn't like so much, but as a whole, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was in between, like the newer Marvel movies that have come out. Master of Kung Fu, Eternals, Black Widow, and like the old school MCU and Spider-Man. So it was like right in between there. So it was definitely good. It wasn't great, but it was definitely a good movie. It was enjoyable. Sam Raimi, obviously horror. There was I like the fact that it included a little bit of horror in it. There were a few jump scares and stuff. Scarlet Witch was, she was kind of scary, so that was pretty cool and stuff. So we're not really used to seeing that in Marvel and Disney, I guess. So that was kind of cool. But overall, I enjoyed the movie. I'll talk a little bit more about the spoilers and stuff and how I felt about some of them, I guess, when we start getting into them.
Troy, initial thoughts.
My initial thought was like been stated, there wasn't as many cameos as I was expecting. I was expecting it to start from start to finish. Every 35 seconds, somebody would stick their head in and scream, peekaboo. I thought there were going to be cameos from top to bottom, but the only ones we got were the ones we were really expecting, which was still cool. But I think this movie, I think it was more a setup for the modern Secret Wars, the incursions, but Secret Wars nonetheless. I think it is a setup for that. I think that they did the movie almost specifically to set up for the Secret Wars, because they said, hey man, in Secret Wars, they put all these planets together from all over the place. We've got that in this movie. We want you to know that there are heroes that are out there that we haven't introduced yet. They said, heroes can fight heroes. Certain heroes killed other heroes in this movie. They want to introduce us to that. Doctor Strange could be good or bad. They wanted to introduce us to that. The whole thing to me felt like they were just setting up for Secret Wars. And I think they said the word incursion 157 times during the movie to bang it into our heads. Unfortunately, something I didn't really dig that much. You know how you get a new carpet or a new shirt, and after you wear it a few times, it looks good on you.
To go to a wardrobe. Okay, good.
Wait a second, he's not done. He might eat the shirt.
No, that's true. That's true. Yes. Okay.
You got a good looking shirt with a cool emblem on it, and then all of a sudden, on the end, it's frayed. When I was in the Marine Corps, they called those Irish pennants. You weren't allowed to have them, but there's a fraying on the end of your clothing, and it's slowly starting to wear. And you watch it, and it slowly starts to get worse and worse and worse. I think Doctor Strange was the beginning of the fraying. I hope somebody sees that and says, you know what? We got to go ahead and take care of that. We got to cut that string, get back on track, and make these incredible Marvel movies that we were making before, or else, the Marvel Universe and the people who aren't really Marvel Universe people are going to start pulling at that thread. And they're going to say, well, I didn't like this movie because of this. I didn't like this movie because of that. There seems to be enough in this movie for people to grab a hold to and say, I didn't like it because of. Usually you go to a Marvel movie and you talk about everything you dig. I like this, I like that. I'm glad they did this. I wish they would have done that, but I like the way they did this. With this one, we can honestly sit down and say, there's a couple of things that I didn't really like about this movie. And I think that's the beginning of the
I'm about to do just that, but
see?
So a couple of points.
Hold up. Yeah. So go ahead.
Just real quick, just to counterpoint on what Troy said. I mean, I understand what you're trying to say, but at the same time, the Eternals, Master of Kung Fu, Black Widow, they were all current MCU movies, and to me personally, this movie was better than those movies, right? So even though this movie, I understand that we're gonna stop picking on those little things that we didn't like, it was still a better movie than those movies. So it's still a step up, it was to me. So I don't think it's to the point where it was like, I think that the Eternals had a lot of people who weren't Marvel people kind of like turned off, are all the movies going to start sucking now? And then boom, we got Spider-Man, right? And now, we got Doctor Strange. Obviously, Doctor Strange wasn't Spider-Man, but it was still a really good movie in my mind. Sorry about it. I didn't mean to interrupt, Jonathan.
No, I like I like the movie. I also like the movie a lot. We were like ranking. I went to see it with my kids the other night. We were ranking it up there. I'll give you our score at the end when we give all our little things. But I liked it. I did enjoy the movie. But the same thing, it was not what I expected to. I was like, I thought it was good. I agree with you guys. It was better than the other one, the recent ones, except for Spider-Man. So, but here's the thing: like we're talking about Multiverse of Madness. It didn't feel like we got that. It felt like we were like in a couple of places. Yeah, we had that montage of going through the different universes and everything, but it was not the same. We didn't spend time in the multiverse. From what I thought, it was going to be like we're popping here, we're popping there, we're going all over the place, and we didn't really get that. We spent time in really like just a couple of places, and again, and this is our fault for like going the rumors. I guess it's my fault also for following all the rumors. There were so many rumors of all the people that we were going to see, and so it almost felt like and they don't have to. Marvel doesn't have to give everyone all the rumors that they're expecting, but it did feel like a little bit of a disappointment that we didn't get all the things that they were talking about. We didn't get, the Tom Cruise Iron Man there. We didn't get a lot of the other people that had been. We didn't get either Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield, that all these rumors were circulating that they were going to be appearing. So we didn't get all these other things that they were talking about. So that felt a little bit disappointing. We did get, the ones that the main ones that they were talking about. We got the Professor X, we got Black Bolt, we got John Krasinski. They gave the fans that as Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards. So they gave him that, but we weren't even in that long. So it didn't feel like everything was done for the multiverse, the promise they gave you. And even the horror aspect, I read ahead of time, this is Marvel's first horror movie. There were a couple of little things, but it wasn't overall as deep into the horror genre that I was expecting. Like I was expecting they're going to be, and people told me ahead of time, oh, it's scary. I didn't think it was so scary. There were like maybe a couple of little parts, but even those couple of little parts, like the, Wanda jumping out and, snapping a neck or coming out of the wall, it felt like all expected. I kept expecting these things to happen. Nothing that really shocked me and surprised me. But like I said, I did like it. I liked it a lot. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun movie, but it just left me wanting a little bit more. And what Troy just said too about Secret Wars, that to me is what this movie was all about, setting up Secret Wars instead of making it this movie, giving everything that we can for this movie. Because even Secret Wars was trending all over social media after this movie came out. So that's what seems to be the setup. We're setting up Secret Wars more. All right, now let's really go into nitpicking. So go ahead.
So nitpicking real quick. Let me get started real quick because I'm really dying to talk about this. For me personally, I mean, cameos are always awesome, and I enjoyed the cameos that they did have with the Illuminati. Because obviously, we knew Patrick Stewart was in, but we didn't know 100% that we were going to get Krasinski's fantastic, Mr. Fantastic. So that was cool seeing him. It's a 2-hour movie, right? So if you guys start having all these different cameos and explaining to them, they're going to extend to a 4-hour, Justice League.
I don't disagree.
Movie, right?
I don't disagree with that. Yeah.
so maybe, so that I understand. So the fact that we didn't get all the cameos, that wasn't, that much of a disappointment to me, because it saves stuff for future movies, right? Because obviously we have so many more movies coming out, so that didn't disappoint me too much. With the cameos that we did have, one of the things that did disappoint me was the Illuminati, right? So the Illuminati basically are these top leaders in the hero world of that.
I just want
world.
to cut in real quickly that it took every ounce of willpower that I have not to jump the gun and do it before you were talking about the Illuminati, because I know you were like, oh, I want to talk about it.
Sorry. But anyway, so to me, we talked about this before we did the podcast, obviously. So I've been like dying to talk about this. So you guys have nothing to say for the rest of the thing. We just start. But basically, the Illuminati, like I said, these are the Professor X, Black Bolt, who's almost like a god, Mr. Fantastic, who's the smartest man in the freaking world, right? And the Scarlet Witch came in and just took these guys and like snapped their fingers and pretty much killed them, right? And Captain Carter, who's just, a glorified Captain America, she had trouble with, she was fighting her, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So,
well, that's the virtue, Marvel's virtue signaling. Yes.
Right, exactly. So to me, that was a little, I get it, but at the same time, it was kind of corny. Because these guys are, they killed Thanos, they killed the Doctor Strange of their world, and Scarlet Witch comes in and says, oh, Black Bolt, he uses his mouth. Let me just take his mouth away. And he's like, boop, 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 boop. His head blows up. It was so freaking corny. That I hated. Because like I said, these people are the top people of their world. So, and it was funny because I want to give a shout out to my man Brian from local comic shop, Phil's Comic Shop, that works at Phil's Comic Shop. I was talking to him yesterday about it, either today or yesterday, and we were talking about Mr. Fantastic, and I was like, you know what? It kind of sucks for all the people who want John Krasinski to be Mr. Fantastic because they just killed him. He's gone, and he was like, that was the Mr. Fantastic of that world. They all look alike. I don't know why you didn't get that part. That part I don't know why you didn't get. And I was like, dude, I was like, Brian, I was like, you're right. Doctor Strange kind of looked like the same in all the different worlds. So we could have. So John Krasinski's still in play, people. But so I guess that was one of the things that, might be how everybody wanted the Illuminati. We got the Illuminati, and then the fighting sequence of the Illuminati, the top 3 Illuminati people just got wasted.
Yeah.
So that was kind of corny. So that was one of my beefs.
Before we go into your next thing, Troy, your Illuminati thoughts there. So.
My Illuminati thoughts is, as far as like Black Bolt goes, there's no way she should have been able to kill Black Bolt like that. And I'll tell you why. Nightmares. Nightmares. Black Bolt has had this power since he was a kid. He's been asleep at least once since he was a kid. And during that time, he's probably had dreams. He has conditioned himself not to speak, even when he's asleep. He's conditioned himself not to speak when people jump out and say, hey, happy birthday. And he goes, oh, wow. He's conditioned himself. He bumps his elbow. You know how you're walking in the middle of the night and you're walking past your bed and your toe, you bang that corner of the metal part of your bed and you're jumping up and down and you're calling your bed all kind of HBO words. He has conditioned himself not to do that. But when she closed his mouth, all of a sudden he freaked out and he had to speak. It didn't make any sense to me. Reed Richards is the smartest man in the universe, possibly in all pop culture, the smartest person, and nobody taught him how to duck. He's out there fighting some magical chick, and he's like, I'm gonna stick my hand in her face. What? You're the smartest person on the planet. Why don't you use that little zappy thing and teleport yourself to the other side of the room? Or come out there with a special gun, or a regular gun, or a rock. She's not invulnerable. You could have hit her in the back of the head with a rock. Done deal. He lost because he wasn't the smartest person on the planet. Because I was sitting in a movie, and I'm not the smartest person on the planet, and I'm thinking, why didn't you duck? And he didn't duck. Xavier, his whole thing is going into the astral plane and fighting people in the astral plane. He'll knuckle up and get in there. He'll beat the brakes off of anybody. The very first time she gets in there, she sneaks up behind him really slow. The whole audience is watching her as a black fog heading towards him. And he's like, Wanda, we need you to. And I'm thinking, dude, look behind you. I mean, you're not really looking in front of you anyway, because you're an astral projection. You're looking 360. Everything that's happening there, you're looking at. He's when he's astral projecting himself places, his body is traveling, but he sees it the way we see a movie. He sees everything. You can't sneak up on him. It's not really his body, because his body is laying someplace with his eyes closed and his hands in his lap. That's just his mind. We've all had dreams. You dream, you're walking down the hallway and you're thinking there's a dude in the closet that's going to get me in a second. The reason you know that is because you see everything like it's a movie. Same thing with him. He didn't see her walking up behind him and using those crazy fingers and breaking his neck. I'm thinking, come on. They killed these people in the most obvious ways. Mm-hmm. Now, when it came to the two women, they had physical feats. You know, the Captain Carter, she had to fight and throw her shield. They had to get that in there. They had to throw the shield. It had to bounce around and everything. She had to die with the shield. It was just a thing. So her fight was longer, though it shouldn't have been. She should have had the quickest fight. Her fight was longer because when they did it, they were like, she's got to throw that shield, man. Everybody's going to be here. They're going to say, how come she didn't throw the shield? She's got to throw the shield. And then she's got to catch it in a cool way. And then we'll go ahead and split her in half. But she shouldn't have done that. Then with the Captain, the other Captain Marvel or Spectrum or whatever, Photon, whatever she was calling herself, when she was there, she had all of that energy, all of that power. When she originally, her daughter, fought Wanda, the very first time she ever used her power, she could counter Wanda. The very first time she'd ever used it, she countered Wanda. I'm thinking, if you're the mother with years and years of experience, why can't you counter Wanda? How come you didn't just turn her into, jelly? Why didn't you hit her with lightning? She controls the whole electromagnetic spectrum. She could have blasted her and blew. She could have nuked the room. It's Wanda. She knew it was a danger. All these people, and it's Illuminati. They're supposed to be that world's Avengers, essentially. And they were horrible. They were horrible. I understand why they did it. They can't keep that version of the Illuminati around, because during the incursion, it's definitely going to be their world. And the 616 versus 838, they're going to have to do that. They're going to have the incursion. 616 has got to win, because that's the movie place we're watching.
That's right.
We got to see that. So they got to get rid of the Illuminati. I get that. They just, I don't know, they should have did it in another way, because that was very disappointing.
Yeah, that was the thing to me too. That part was disappointing. And like I keep reading that this probably wasn't even filmed. They probably weren't even all in the same room when this was filmed. They probably all filmed their cameos somewhere else, because again, like you guys just said, this is what disappointed me, is that we're waiting for, Mr. Fantastic. We barely see him use his powers. We barely see anything. The only time you saw the powers come out is like one little split second at the end. And if they're a team, supposedly, they're not attacking a team. They're going one by one, okay, my turn now. It's not a coordinated thing. My turn to take her on, and everyone's just standing watching. All right, you got this. They're just standing watching her like kill them all one at a time. And when you see, and like I said, the same thing. This is the problem with Disney and Marvel. Everything's the virtue signaling. When you saw that the three powerful guys and the two women, you knew what was happening. You just knew it ahead of time what was happening. The guys are going to go like that, and the women are going to fight at the end. You knew it before the scene happened. It's like these are heroes. Stop making it all about one, that you have to get the message across. They're a team. Attack is a team. Fight as a team. And that's not what happened in this scene. Again, that one at a time picking off did not seem realistic to me. And again, it's like, here's the nitpicking stuff, because I did like the movie, and there was the fun scenes afterwards. with Strange and Mordo, but this was kind of disappointing that the first time we see the Illuminati, it was just taking off one by one, everyone acting weak on their own. So that one disappointed me.
Now that's a point that you just made. The 3 dudes and the 2 chicks. There were 4 dudes. Mordo was still in that hole. He's alive. He's just hanging out down there. And I'm thinking, you're this world's sorcerer supreme, and you're stuck in a hole that's 8 feet tall. You can't get out of it. I was like, doesn't he have magic flying boots? He couldn't get out of the hole. He's just standing there. I think he knew that everybody was going to die, so he stayed there because he had his magic.
Hang back here. Right?
Honestly, if in all those movies where they do the one guy versus many, like Rambo and Schwarzenegger and stuff, when they fight and there's one guy killing like 30 people, like the Punisher scene when he's coming through that prison and Daredevil. If I were there and I was getting out of the jail cell and I looked out and I saw like 27 bodies and he's just stabbing people, I'm gonna be like, I'm going back in my jail cell. I'm not going out there for none of that. I don't want any of that.
I'm here if you need me.
And I consider myself a rugged prototype of manhood.
That's
but
how
I'm not getting in that hole. See?
Yes.
When Mordred was there, Mordred was there, he knows I'm super powerful, man. But so were they. And he's listening to it. He's like, oh, okay, he's dead. Oh, that one too. You know what? I'm going to take these boots off because they know I can fly. I'm going to take these boots off and say, oh, wow, I would have came and helped you, but my boots fell off. He's there. He just didn't fight. I think that was smart.
Yeah, I kind of identify with Mordo because, like, if the 3 of us ever hang out and we go somewhere and there's a fight and I fall in an 8-foot hole, you guys are on your own because I ain't never getting out of an 8-foot hole. I'm pretty much stuck. but yeah, I mean, like I said, that whole fight scene, it was just didn't make any sense. It felt like an old karate movie when, like, you see the karate master and he goes into a room and there's 50 guys and they attack him one by one. You know what I mean? Of course, you can take them all.
Everyone's just waiting back. Everyone's waiting back.
Exactly. That was kind of,
you're a team.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that kind of like also maybe, like you said, Jonathan, that they probably, it looks like they all filmed, different times, like they weren't even there together, because, it was, everyone was basically on their own fighting Wanda. Right. And, and there was, if I remember correctly, when Dr. Strange was warning them, he was like, listen, she's going to be the Scarlet Witch. I think it was Mr. Fantastic. He was like, yeah, we have her in our world. Like, we're not worried, Really? Like, we took it. Yeah,
we got this.
Yeah, we got this. Don't worry about it. Go take a nap or something. We got this.
And how did she sneak up on them? Because they're technologically more advanced than most people. They went into a room where Reed Richards is at. He's got to be monitoring everything. There's a freaking magician there. He's got to be monitoring everything.
Yeah, nothing about that scene made sense.
None of it. Xavier had to know she was coming, like when she woke up that morning. He had to be like, Wanda's coming this afternoon. Spectrum should have felt the power and been like, hey, something weird's happening. But none of them. They just kind of got surprised by her.
Yeah, it was nothing about that scene made sense, dude. So
none of it.
So what do you think? Any other nitpicks before we discuss this ending?
Not a nitpick, but I guess we haven't really even touched about it. Was America Chavez the whole? Right, yeah. A lot of people are talking about America Chavez, and a lot there was obviously a lot of people. There was a lot of buzz about her having 2 moms, and I guess supposedly in Saudi Arabia or somewhere country they weren't even going to show the movie unless they cut that part out. Whatever. So, but I mean, I actually enjoyed her character. Her character was cute. It was, it was a young,
I like the character.
Young Spanish girl. It was cool. It was a cute character. It wasn't, it didn't bother her character. Did not bother me at all.
I liked her character, but something I was wondering. She's got 2 moms, right? They never explain where she came from. If she's got 2 moms, did she have a father? Or on their world, can 2 moms produce a child? Was she adopted? And
Troy wanted this movie to be X-rated, basically.
I did. I did. I
Isn't
had
You
she
wanted
getting,
the
isn't she getting as
conception.
many? She's not getting a
I
series
came there
on
with
Disney
my
Plus?
popcorn and some handcuffs, a bullwhip, and then they, if it's normal for two women to be together, she had a gay pride badge on. So I'm thinking, if it's normal, then why is she wearing a gay pride badge? Because it wouldn't be gay; it would just be
Right.
normal. But she had that badge on, so I'm thinking they didn't say anything about that. So she must have a pop somewhere if she considers her two moms
Right.
to be quote unquote gay. Then it's because there's a dude somewhere.
Isn't she getting
So
a
where's the
series,
dude?
or am I mistaken in that? I thought she was getting a series.
I
She's
don't
not.
know.
She's not.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. Not that I know of.
I liked it. I didn't, the only reason I mentioned that is because there was the buzz about the gay thing, but I was thinking it didn't take away or add to the.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was irrelevant. It was irrelevant. It hadn't.
It was relevant. Yeah.
What do we think about
It
the
was.
Strange?
I guess it's a young kid who's watching who maybe has two dads or two moms. It was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
What do we think about the different Doctor Stranges that we saw? And we should also talk about the ending, but let's talk about the different Doctor Stranges. So
I'm not sure that we got the 616 Doctor Strange at the end.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. I'm not sure either.
Because,
Well, I think it kind of like broke into what if
A little
episode,
what if.
right? Right. So the Doctor Strange, like the evil Doctor Strange, I guess, that had the dark hold, on his it seems like that was the Doctor Strange from the what if episode.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. So kind of and I also like the fact how he rose. It was a different take on Marvel zombies, right?
Right.
He actually rose the body, and it was a zombie. It's actually not how Marvel Zombies is, but it was a different take on it, which was kind of cool. It was refreshing. So that was kind of cool. I mean, Doctor Strange has always been a really cool character, especially in the MCU. So, I mean, I liked all of them. I didn't, there wasn't anything that I didn't like.
the twist, it's like a 10-minute thing. I'm going to try to make it like 30 seconds or shorter. A long time ago.
Well, let Carlos and I get a snack. Go ahead.
There was a Spider-Man villain called the Jackal, right? Remember him?
Yep.
He's hired the Punisher first, appearance of the Punisher. The Jackal cloned Peter Parker, right? And Peter Parker, the clone was supposed to be Ben Reilly. Mm-hmm. They fought, and then the clone gets thrown into the fire thing, the fire tube thing. I forget what it was. He threw him in there, and then he left. I'm thinking the clone knows everything Parker knew. So it'll come back to this. The clone knew everything Parker knew. So I'm thinking, is Peter Parker really Peter Parker? For decades, I was like, he's the clone, man. Because the clone was stronger and faster than him anyway. How did he beat the guy? Just because he felt like it? How did he beat the guy that was stronger and faster, had the exact same powers, but he beat him, and he's like, yeah, I'm Peter Parker. I think it's the clone. In Star Trek, they had an episode called Mirror Mirror, where Captain Kirk goes to another dimension and fights Captain Kirk. And then when they come back, Spock's watching them fight, and he's just sitting there twiddling his thumbs. He's watching them fight, and then he shoots the one that loses. And he's like, how'd you know that was me? Or the one that wins. He's like, how did you know that was me? He's like, well, he's stronger than you. So he was going to beat the brakes off you. So I was waiting for one of you to lose. With this, taking those things, with this, Strange is going around fighting people. Now, the Strange that we get has a different cloak of levitation. It's got that big patch in it. And now we see what happened, but that could just be his explanation of why his cloak is different. He's got that third eye in his forehead, and he's pretty comfortable with evil, because that third eye is him being dominated by the Darkhold, just like his predecessor was, and with the dark fingertips and everything. So when Cleo comes in, and she's like, oh, you got to help me. We got to go here. He's like, puts his forehead, makes his forehead eye. And he's like, let's go. He doesn't say, well, I'm kind of possessed by the devil. I'm not sure. He didn't care. He's like, yeah, let's go, man. And he's going with the wrong cape. He's evil. He's got the black fingertips, the dark
He's fully evil. Yeah.
He's so evil. I'm not 100% sure that that's our Doctor Strange.
Well, here's the thing that first of all I think about with Captain Kirk, that the only thing I can count on every series, every show in the series, is that he's going to bang some green skin chick. That's the only thing, But here's the thing. One of the things that no one had a happy ending here. Like no one in this movie had a happy ending, and so we had like Wanda, who first of all, who's like big villain throughout the whole thing. Then they try to make it a little bit that you feel bad for at the end, try to redeem her, but then now she's not with her kid. She did all that for like nothing there, but she did save everyone at the end. But I don't even think that she's dead. First of all, I don't think she's dead, but it's still not the happy ending. Strange does not have the happy. He doesn't wind up with Christine in any of these things, and now he's like kind of possessed by evil. If that's the real one that we know, like you said, it's not a clone, but he's kind of possessed a little bit too. So even America Chavez is like, she's training. She doesn't get everything that she wants. It's like no one really has that full happy ending here. So of course there's the dog. So that was a little bit too at the end that bothered me. I'm curious. I am very curious to see where it goes. So, that whole scene with Cleo at the end. I am curious to see where this is going to go. So where they're going to put it. Now I hope we don't have to wait years and years again for another Doctor Strange movie, but it is setting it up. So what do we think? What do we think is next? What do we think is coming next? And first of all, what was the one thing that we were? Let's start with this. What was the one thing that we were just disappointed didn't happen in this movie?
So just so you know, so based on the whole happy ending thing, after the movie was over, I went to get a massage and I had a hot towel, so I had a happy ending. I can't really speak for everybody else in the movie, but I was kidding. Not
you got yours.
Exactly. So what do I think is going to happen?
Don't mark this one for kids this week, please.
Right, exactly. But what was I gonna say? I don't know, man. I like I said, I think like we said before, I think this is setting up, obviously the Secret Wars and setting up, the things that are about to come. I was kind of surprised that we didn't get a little Kang action at the end. Also, that was kind of, because
Troy was pissed.
Yeah, well, it's Troy's man, so we all know that. But because it's obviously, once you're dealing with the multiverse and all this craziness, obviously, Kang is involved. I mean, he was involved in Moon Knight, so it's like, even though he directly involved, he was kind of mentioned a little bit. So that was kind of surprising that we saw what's her name at the end in the post-credit scene. Clear. We saw her instead of maybe having, and then they had a second post credits. I'm like, okay, here comes Kang, and then we see what's his name, right?
Bruce Campbell.
Right, exactly.
I love me some Bruce Campbell though.
Right, but it's Sam Raimi,
Yeah.
so you think it is, who's gonna give Bruce Campbell his props. So, but at the same time, so that was kind of disappointing that not to see that and not to tie that in. I don't know if maybe they did it on purpose, that they were kind of like pushing away from, but it really doesn't make any sense not to have him involved in some way.
Troy, what are you most disappointed with that you didn't get?
I wouldn't call it a big disappointment, but the first thing is, all right, everybody, like you said, everybody did not get their happy ending, but especially Wong. Because even though Strange did bow to him, and for some reason he still is the Sorcerer Supreme for whatever reason, I think they're going to kill him off. But even though he finally got Strange to bow to him and he got that respect, his chick, the chick that in the comic books Wong is hanging out with and having adult relations with, that woman is Sarah. They changed her nationality in the movie, but that was the black chick that was in there. That's his girlfriend. And she got turned to dust. She's like, no, not you, I'll do it. And she attacks the Scarlet Witch and gets turned into dust, or the Darkhold, it gets turned into dust. I know that had to hurt Wong because he was standing right there. And he's like, no, I'll do it. She's like, no, not you. And she destroyed it. They didn't have no matches and nothing. They couldn't set the book on fire. She had to like blow it up and die. I was thinking that was kind of, these are supposed to be really smart people, I didn't understand that. But what was disappointing for me is it's clearly a Secret Wars like origin story. It's clearly talking to Secret Wars. They should have had it. Now it's going to lead into Doctor Strange 3, but it should have led into another Secret Wars. If it's going to be a Secret Wars movie, then go full throttle and give us, I don't know, the Beyonder or something that Doom Supreme, God Doom. They should do something that leads into us saying, yep, that's it. That was it. That was the moment. Instead of hinting, they're dropping these little breadcrumbs. Hey, food reference. They're dropping these little breadcrumbs and they're not giving us the full meal, man. I wanted the full meal. They didn't go full throttle. And that kind of got me, because it's clear what they're doing, but they're trying to hide it. And guys like us who sit reading the books all day, we know where they're going, but they won't, they just give us the whole thing, man. Give me the whole thing. I don't want the breadcrumbs. That's my thought.
I'm like with you guys, the same thing. The things that disappointed me is the exact same thing. I didn't expect in the movie, but I expected a Kang post credits. I did expect that because, that's where we're going. That's where everyone's talking about, the multiverse. We had this, with the Loki, he was such a big part of all this multiverse thing. So I was a little disappointed that we didn't get him in the post credits one. I was disappointed that we did not get, this is what I wanted, one cameo. I really, really thought we were going to get that Tom Cruise Iron Man, the Tom Cruise Tony Stark. I thought we were going to have that as part of the Illuminati, so that didn't happen. And again, going back to the post credits, we had, that little scene with Doctor Strange and Cleo. That was a cute little scene. It was like a funny little scene, but it didn't set up enough. I wanted that little dark, foreboding, post credit scene at the end. Even though Bruce Campbell thing, like you guys said, it's funny, it was cute. I wanted something different at the end. I wanted that where we are going to be heading next. So
real quick, Jonathan, when you said about the Tom Cruise Iron Man, being part of the Illuminati, I'm kind of glad that they didn't show up, because I'm already still hurting from them killing the original Iron Man. And if they would have gave me another Iron Man for like 3 minutes and killed him again, I don't know how I would feel about that.
I could never recover.
Yeah, I don't know if it's something that I can, especially if it's Tom Cruise.
And all right, so what do we want to see next? What is it that we want to see next from Marvel?
As far as this movie goes, or just in general?
Well, let's see. That's the movie. Coming out of this movie, what do we want to see next?
Coming out of this movie, I think I want to see how they're going to. They've got three problems, in my opinion. They've got to figure out a way to make Strange the Sorcerer Supreme again, because the title's been taken, but he's the guy. So they got to figure out a way to take the title from Wang and give it back. Wong. I'm sorry.
Wang's going back to Carlos's happy ending.
I still got Carlos's happy ending in my head.
See, maybe I wasn't the only one who got a happy ending after the movie.
So, they got to take it from Wong. They either got to kill him, or he's got to decide. Because it was clear during the fight with Shamagora, I think they're going to call him Giganto, but with Shamagora, they was clear in that fight that Strange was more powerful than him. And he made the fist hands, grabbed the thing. He's the one that killed it. He had the cool handkerchief that turned into. He was way more skilled and way more powerful. And he's only been practicing magic maybe a quarter of the time that Wong has. So they got to figure out how they're going to do that. They got to figure out what's going to happen with Cleo. She's Dormammu's niece, and that can't be good. They're going to go there, and she's like, you got to help us for the incursion. So is he going to save the Dark Dimension, or did he cause, with something that he did he do like the other Strange and cause this incursion with the Dark Dimension? Is the 616 headed toward the Dark Dimension, or is 616 headed towards 838? They got to figure it out. They got to let us know what's happening with that. And the third thing, they've got the opportunity now to introduce mutants, because Strange showed up. They've got the opportunity now to introduce Fantastic Four.
Right.
What are they going to do with that? And the Inhumans, what are they going to do with that? They've teased us with it. Now they've got to bring them into our universe. The only way I can think of that they can do it is if there is an actual incursion and the two planets and universes are coming towards each other, And instead of one of them, well, one's going to be destroyed. It's got to be destroyed. But they pick and choose certain things, like with the Squadron Supreme at the last incursion. The Squadron Supreme came over, Hyperion and all his people. They came over, and probably a bunch of other people. They're over here now. Their universe got destroyed, so now they're here. They got to do a similar thing. The universes are coming towards each other. They're going to collide, and one of them is destroyed. The other one, of course, and they've got to bring some of those people over. They survived it, so it's got to be the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, maybe Ghost Rider, stuff like that. So they've got three problems. I'm curious how they're going to solve them.
I mean, you hit it on the head for me. This is exactly what I want to see. By introducing Professor X, by introducing Reed Richards, now I want to see these characters. I want to see mutants come up. I want to see the mutants that we know come into the MCU. I want to see the Fantastic Four now, and there's no Fantastic Four movie on the schedule. So I want to see them now. I want to see them little by little appear in our MCU and like use them. And when the next one out is Thor, right? Thor: Love and Thunder is the next one out. So it's going to be really, Thor's got to have his own movie, but it's going to be really disappointing to me if in at least the post-credit scene of Thor, that we're not following up on this. So tying something in that's going on, that's going to lead us into Secret Wars, or lead us into all these infinite universe type things. So they set it up now. So if they don't follow through now, it's going to see, because that's what Marvel does. They have all these standalone movies all leading into one place eventually. So if we don't follow up with that with Thor, that's going to be disappointing to me. But yeah, I think the main thing that I want to see now is mutants and Fantastic Four coming out, because eventually I got to see Galactus. I got to see a Galactus done right in the MCU. That's what my main thing is. That's to me the big bad that we got to see eventually down the line. So what do we rate this movie? Scale 1 to 10.
Wow. Scale of 1 to 10. I would say it's probably like I would give it an 8, like not like a 7.5 leading to an 8, but more towards 8. Because standalone, I mean, overall, I mean, it was Doctor Strange, the Doctor Strange movie. So, that's what we got to see. If you're a Doctor Strange fan, the whole movie was based on Doctor Strange, and he was the hero, and obviously Wanda was the villain. But it was an 8. I mean, it wasn't a 9 or a 10. It wasn't like I said, it wasn't a Spider-Man. It wasn't the Avengers movies or anything like that. But it was a solid 8. I think they pretty much got what they wanted to get across. Pretty much introducing these multiverses, and one of the things that Troy was saying, that he wants to see Doctor Strange as the Sorcerer Supreme. My educated guess is that he's not the Sorcerer Supreme right now, because the Sorcerer Supreme basically is that he protects Earth from everything that's happening, and he's right now traveling between dimensions and stuff, right? So he's not really here to protect Earth. That's why Wong is there, in his place. Maybe I think he'll be the Sorcerer Supreme, maybe towards the end, once all this stuff is taken care of and he can not have to worry about going through into dimensions and stuff. But it was an 8 for me, man. It was an 8.
Troy?
I gotta agree. I would give it an 8 also. It's a Marvel movie, and it's still a Marvel movie. Man, if it was like, if we were weighing it against all the Marvel movies, I don't think I'd rate it quite an 8. But as a movie standalone in general versus everything that's out there now and everything, it's a good strong 8, I think. Not my favorite Marvel movie, definitely not the worst modern Marvel movie. I'm not going to say Shang-Chi. I hated that movie. That was so to me, because I was expecting a completely different guy to show up. But I think it was a solid 8, mostly because I see where they're going. They're leaning into future movies, and it's kind of just a setup movie. So
I'm with you. I had the same number in mind. I also had the same exact thing, 7.5, 8, probably closer to 8. In spite of all the things that we're talking, all the little nitpicking that we've done, I thought it was a fun movie. I thought it was just fun. I thought it was entertaining. Other than Spider-Man, I think this was better than all the previous slate of Marvel movies, recent Marvel movies as well. So this was fun. Like I said, it was just, I wanted different things, but that doesn't mean it was, a bad thing, a bad movie. So it was definitely still a fun movie for me. So yeah, I agree with you guys. We're all right on the same point, which is unusual, but we're all right in the same area right now. So let us know what you guys think. Drop it in the comments. Do you guys like this? Didn't like it? What do you want to see next? What were you disappointed that you didn't see in this one? And let us know, and please subscribe.
Subscribe.
This has been Comics and Pop. We'll see you later.